Immolation, Kingdom of Conspiracy. Yonkers, New York. That is the site of where Immolation came from, where this pinnacle, this tyranny of death metal began. With their early albums being considered as Stone Cold classics, not to mention some of the most important releases in the technical death metal realm, Immolation has already cemented themselves a true legacy. They've already cemented themselves as one of the profound members of the death metal subgenre of heavy metal music. However, with Kingdom of Conspiracy, that legend and that legacy furthers itself. It's something where they've gone from anti-religion, they've gone to politics and political realms, and now with Kingdom of Conspiracy, you can practically say that they have entered into the realm of conspiracy theories. Yes, so we should be expecting songs about, JFK being shot, and aliens, and Roswell, and no, not really. No. We're going to talk more about the music than that. We were not here to talk about aliens. 9 albums in. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that Immolation is 9 albums in, because I remember whenever they were just getting started. Okay, maybe not whenever they were just getting started, but whenever they were like 4 or 5 albums in, whenever I first got into the genre. This is their first album in 3 years, so it's been a long time since we have experienced a new Immolation record, and this is one of those bands that whenever an album comes out, for a certain group of people, and where really it should be for all metal fans, this should be an event. This should be something that everybody should be rejoicing, something that everybody should be questing for, considering these guys are a fundamentally important part of the death metal genre, one of the most important bands that death metal has been able to really give us, especially if you're a fan of technical death metal, mainly through their construction. That construction and that whole process, the way in which they're able to really just build really fantastic death metal tracks is continued on this album. So really there's not very much that needs to be said in addition to anything that you've probably heard about an Immolation album in the past. In fact, if anything, if you want to be excited about anything, if you want to be really pleased with anything, it's the fact that Immolation has once again been able to release for us a album that is really worth talking about in the form of potential, topping in the top 25 list. It's something like that. Now this is an album that will easily breeze past whenever you are listening to it, and that's something that's extremely good, mainly because if an album that is only about 40 minutes in length feels really bogged down, if it feels like you're getting bored, if it feels like the time is really lagging on you, then that is something that is the benchmark sign of an album that perhaps needed a little bit more fine-tuning, or something where the material was just, well, not that good to begin with. Not with this album, and really, it's been a long time since any sort of complaint can be wagered on an Immolation album, because they have just really been that solid of a band throughout their career. Imagine albums such as Majesty and Decay, just really, really trademark releases, and of course going all the way back to their premiere and their debut, which is considered to be one of the forebearers of the technical death metal genre. Kingdom of Conspiracy, once again, is able to really revamp those emotions that you have toward the genre that they have helped sort of conceive, and really it gives you a very fine-tuned, real, bird's eye view at the history of the genre. And it's funny that this happens in 2013 whenever you turn back the clock and whenever you think about the bands that were around in the early 1990s. Whenever you think about bands such as Cynic and Suffocation, whenever you consider the ones that came after them, such as Cryptopsy, for example, you can see and hear the influence even in their music today that caused this particular subdivision to really become such a prominent force in heavy metal here in the year 2013, and why it's been a prominent force in heavy metal probably for the better part of a decade. Why it is something that has attracted many new young fans to the fold. This is an album that you breeze through mainly because the riffs are fantastic, mainly because the vocals are, stylistically what you're used to. Everything that this album is really able to encapsulate is that of familiarity, however, always turning that dial up to 11, as opposed to stopping just short, as opposed to merely doing the bare minimum in order to construct a halfway decent album, because at this point in their career, what does Immolation really have left to prove to those who are the faithful? They really don't have anything to prove. However, they desire to prove things to an even wider base, to an even wider audience. They want to continue to really showcase why these guys are why they, should I say, not these guys, they're not promoting anybody else, but why they are an extremely prominent force, and why they themselves definitely bear to be named among some of the greats of the death metal genre. Whenever you think about it, whenever you think of death metal, many people say names such as Death. They think of Morbid Angel. They think of Obituary. They think of Suffocation. Sometimes people forget Immolation, and they really shouldn't. Kingdom of Conspiracy should serve as a reminder for those people. This is an album that will serve as a reminder of this band's just absolute grandiose glory to a lot of different individuals. It's one that will certainly revamp the real phenomenon that this band has been able to create. One that has definitely spawned new fans in recent years. One that has always kept old fans extremely happy with the output. And this is once again an album that will do the essential things that a death metal album really needs you to do. It causes you to put up your horns, bang your head until your neck hurts, and it kind of makes me want to drink. I want a beer. Love this album. This album is very solid. From front to back, it really has a lot of great qualities, and I really enjoy the fact that the flow of this album is consistent. It's one that doesn't feel bogged down. I really like the construction of these songs. I feel that Immolation is one of the craftiest bands in the business whenever it comes to their structure, because there's a lot of unusual qualities as far as the remainder of death metal is concerned. I also enjoy the fact that they're able to maintain a lot of interest and a lot of, thought process whenever it comes to where a track is going, even though they are essentially writing the same way that they were many years ago. And I also really enjoy the fact that it seems with each subsequent album that they release, they just feel really, really comfortable. This is something where they don't feel as though they have to really step outside the circle and attempt something absolutely retarded in order to get their point across. They are straightforward to the core, and they are able to really just dominate you through their efficiency and dominate you through just pure, unadulterated construction. Really, really like this album. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. I highly recommend this. And this is something that's going to be available. That might not be something that you can say for some of the other bands that are perhaps prominent in the tech death department or even just the death department. This is one that you can go out and physically purchase right now. So stop watching this video and go purchase it. Really, I'm telling you to stop. That little graphic at the end, ignore it. You can hit the subscribe button later, or you probably already should have. Go buy this album. It's really good. It's definitely one that is worthy to be in your collection.